Good afternoon. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. It is 3:30 p.m. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. In the boardroom, we also have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and Clerk of the Board Jamie Caldwell. This public hearing is relating to the suspension of the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2 operations. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on a draft resolution suspending the operations of the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person, by Zoom, emailed in comments, or mailed in comments. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Ramiro Chavez, our county manager, will provide information on this topic. Assuming members of the public wish to testify, I will read your names aloud and then we will proceed to members of the public joining via Zoom. You will have 3 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you are called on, please state your name and address for the record. The clerk of the board will review the timer. Public hearing is now open. Ramiro Chavez, County Manager, will now present background information of the proposal, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon. As a matter of background, RCW 8538 authorizes the creation of a special districts. In this case, the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2 was created according to the laws and regulations of the state of Washington. RCW 85.06 outlines the district's operational requirements. The district over the years have failed to effectively comply with the operational requirements of RCW 85.06. On June 2nd, 2022, the district published an official notice of hearing to be held on July 9th, 2022. Subsequently, they rescheduled it to August 26, 2022, to take public testimony on a proposal to impose fees and charges to properties located within the preserve at Tumwater Place housing development. The preserve at Tumwater Place is a housing development with 545 residential homes, which has been developed over the last 15 years. And is located within the municipal boundaries of the city of Tumwater and outside of the current boundaries of the district. Many residents of the preserve at Tumwater Place have raised and submitted to the district significant and strong objections about the intent of the district to impose fees and charges, resulting in the dismissal of such objections by the district. The district, on August 2022, started construction activities without applicable county permits in portions of the Salmon Creek, Hopkins drainage ditches, in areas identified as protected habitat and the Thurston County Habitat Conservation Plan for the species listed as endangered under the United States Endangered Species Act. The county followed by issuing a stop work order. On September 24, 2022, the district adopted a resolution expanded the boundaries to include 603 properties, additional tax parcels. On October 3, 2022, the district had a special meeting, apparently in violations of the Notice of the Open Public Meetings Act, where they outlined the specific amount of that fees and charges to be about $300,000. On October 4th, 2022, the legal representative for the preserve has submitted a judicial review, a petition, on the Thurston County Superior Court to review the actions by the district. On October 4th, 2022, the City of Tumwater approve ordinance number 02022021 that permanently remove from the district all properties within the city limits, as authorized under RCW 8538-217. RCW 8538-220 outlines the process of suspending a special district operations by adoption of a resolution proposed by the county legislative authority of the county, as long as we show that it's in the public interest. The Board of County Commissioners have received significant written testimony as well as oral testimony in the last few weeks, including a letter from the city of the mayor of Tumwater, urging the Board of County Commissioners to suspend the operations of the district. The draft resolution outlines the board may consider suspension of the operations of the Hopkins Drainage District number 2 for a period of time in which the board determines that it's in the public interest to reactivate their operations. And this is a special notification because the board is not considering eliminating the district, is considering suspending the operations for a given period of time. Notice of this public meeting was published on the Olympian on September 27 and October 4th. And also, as required by statute, we made physical public hearing postings, 3 within the preserve community located on the across the streets of 89 and Silver Post. Another a posting on the street across from Viola in Silver Post. And the third in the preserve development was posted in the Silver Post Court. And the last and the fourth physical notice was posted on the Rutledge Corn Maze located in 302 93rd Avenue Southeast. As of yesterday, when we have to close the written public testimony, we have received 22 written comments. You have a copy of the outline of that as well as the individual comments. 20 out of the 22 comments, only one opposes the particular options that you have before you today. After the public hearing, I will ask the board to take a single action to just close the public hearing. I will be scheduling a follow-up briefing, hopefully next week, where you have the opportunity to review the comments you might receive this afternoon, as well as the written testimony and oral testimony, as well as you will have the opportunity to touch base with your attorney, your legal counsel, as to determine what options do you have related to this matter. Any questions?
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, ma'am. County Manager, you made reference to, I believe it was RCW 8506. And you followed that with maybe, I want to make sure I get this right, that the district failed to comply with certain elements of that RCW?
It appears to be evidence that they have not been able to maintain the ditch over the last few years, sir.
And of those, I don't know, allegations, have any of them been adjudicated yet? That you pointed out discrepancies, they've not been adjudicated yet, any of them?
Can you clarify what adjudicated means?
Well, through the court, yeah, through the court system.
No, that I know of, sir.
Clarified. And when was the development in question, when was that annexed by the city of Tumwater? Do you know the answer to that?
I will probably have to say maybe 5 years ago, John, if you can recall the annexation. Yep, so
Around
2016.
2016,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I just asked the question to the Tumwater City Administrator.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's it for my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menser, questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay. I don't have any questions at this time either. With that, we will go ahead and start with public testimony. I will read your names for those who have signed up on the sign-up sheet. If you didn't get a chance to sign up or you change your mind, I I will see who would like to proceed. So first person on the list is Councilmember Charlie Schneider.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Charlie Schneider, and I live at 9069 Astor Street Southeast, Tumwater, Washington. I'm a council member for the city of Tumwater, and my wife Nancy and I are also homeowners in the preserve at Tumwater Place. As you all may have been made aware of, the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2 commissioners had initially approached the city of Tumwater at the beginning of this year, 2022, requesting $75,000 for repair and improvements to the ditch area in their district caused by the most recent flooding because, in their words, the excessive amount of water overflow from the wetlands area located in the preserve at Tumwater Place was the cause of flooding on their properties located downstream. Since that time, they have attempted to work on the drainage ditch, including a failed attempt to dynamite a blockage area, which in my view demonstrates the lack of preventive measures to prevent such occurrences. Commissioner Jackman has total disregard to the Habitat Conservation Plan and the Endangered Species Act as he proceeded to the cleaning of the ditch, acknowledging that, quote, if the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service wants to throw me in jail for cleaning up the ditch and possibly harming some Oregon spotted frog, unquote, shows he has total disregard for both city, state, and federal laws. From the very beginning of the discussions with the city of Tumwater, they made it clear that they were holding the city responsible for the cost of these repairs, but since the city deemed they weren't liable for any damages that may have been caused by this most recent flooding, Matt Jackman and the other two commissioners publicly stated on several occasions that they were going after the city of Tumwater, our neighborhood, and the surrounding businesses for the money requested, and even increased the amount needed to almost to the sum of $300,000. The facts are that this district can neither prove scientifically that the wetlands created their drainage problem or determine the amount needed to fix and maintain a drainage ditch. They even suggested that the Thurston County Commissioners withheld monies that belonged to them during one of the two meetings I attended personally. At the time my wife and I purchased our home in Tumwater, we assumed that the city of Tumwater had done all the proper studies regarding the wetlands in the area and that the builder abided by all the codes and regulations required by the city, and nothing we've seen would suggest otherwise. If the ditch district is given the right to annex our neighborhood and the surrounding businesses, we are in essence being double taxed, which is what our founding fathers and mothers fought against. Therefore, I'm asking you, the Thurston County Commissioners, dissolve the Hopkins Drainage Ditch District Number 2 and let the process be played out either through the Boundary Review Board or through the court system. Thank you very much.
Next, I have Nancy Vare Schneider.
Hi, my name is Nancy Vare Schneider. I live at 9069 Astor Street Southeast, Tumwater, Washington. We have been to the meetings with the ditch district where they have said that they have the right to annex us in because what they feel for a one-time flooding caused by the wetlands area. I have been coming up here for 20 years. Tilley Road has flooded every single year. Now, in their answer to their audit, it says this is what was said. In the past, it has been very difficult for non-paid commissioners to justify ourselves to our 140 other landowners in time, expense, and effort that it takes to organize, print letters, and other stuff, when only 2 or 3 residents make the effort to show up. So they can't even get their own people to show up for their meetings. And it says also that one of the little known facts is that every year during the high water, at least one of the commissioners does a visual inventory of the ditched area, paying particular attention to the grade crossings, culverts, bridges, and other things like that, having their beaver trapper come out. But yet in the meeting with us, he also said that they had the one person who came out and said it was caused from us, but they can't say it for sure because they say they don't have the authority to run a dye test. So if they don't have the authority to run it, yet they're saying that this is all caused by us, how can they do that? Don't they need some visible reasoning of why they're charging us with a thing? And it says that they're a special purpose district, is that funds must be accumulated over several years in order to be able to afford to conduct a maintenance dredge repair operation, which on average has been about every 4 to 5 years. This last audit, in the 3-year period that this audit finding involves, there were no maintenance dredge repair operations. We were in a building up funds phase. The only expenses that the ditch district had during those years was to pay for beaver trapping in 2019, 20, and 2021. So for those 3 years, they did no maintenance. Now, in 2022, because they have the flooding was more because we had an exceptional amount of rain. Now they want to bring all of us in to pay, with them saying that their prices will not go up. It's only going to be us that is going to pay for all the repairs and damages, is what they say. They pay $5 an acre a year for their maintenance of their ditch. So say everybody has 5 acres, and I'm sure some have more, some have less. That comes to $2,275 a year for the 143 people. Anybody with any kind of reasoning would know that that isn't enough money to maintain a ditch area of the area that they have. I'm just hoping that you guys will see that they have not did what they were supposed to do, and they've not kept any records whatsoever. Thank you.
Next, I have Commissioner Matt Jackman.
Honorable Commissioners, I'm Matt Jackman, Commissioner of the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2 in Thurston County and the Board Chair. There's been some confusion as to exactly what the Hopkins Ditch is, and is it the Salmon Creek that was cleaned out, or is it a wholly made drainage ditch? By looking at the Google Maps and other phone app maps, one would think that it's the former. But I would like to clear up this misconception using the public record located in the Washington State Archives. The drainage ditch was first described in Thurston County records on September 7th, 1878, 145 years ago, which reads, a copy is attached to that, of locating said ditch, DSB Henry, NE, looks to be Toos, and D.W. Jones were appointed viewers to locate said ditch and estimate and advertise the search thereof. Wording back in those days. As of November 7th, 1878, the following report was received from said viewers, and said Board of Commissioners approved and ordered placed on file. Viewers report of a ditch located in and through the Union Swamp in marshlands through sections 20, 21, 22, 23, and 27, Township 17 North, Range 2 West in Thurston County, Washington. To the County Commissioners of Thurston County, Washington. On the 7th day of September 1878, we, the undersigned, after a careful examination of the swampland to be affected by the ditch described in the foregoing letter of apportment, located a ditch to be of the following dimensions, visualized. From a stake duly marked at its outlet in Salmon Creek. And it goes on from there. Basically, this describes the Hopkins Drainage Ditch is an outlet into Salmon Creek, not an extension of Salmon Creek. It's a wholly man-made ditch, and it's been around for 145 years. Now I'd like to address the issue at hand and hope that you fully understand what the City of Tumwater has asked you to do here today. The City of Tumwater is asking to have the county intervene in the application of state law. RCW 8532 is that law that they believe that the ditch district has overstepped our authority by trying to utilize. This RCW, according to the Attorney General's office in AG 65-66, number 36, states, the maintenance of drainage districts is essential to the economy of the state. The influx of population and changes in land use since many such districts were formed has made obsolete and unjust the method used under existing law.
Commissioner Jackman.
I hope you would let me talk. We are the accused here, accused of doing something that's untoward. Does the accused not have the ability to defend itself here?
We have 3 minutes for public comment, sir. If you would wish to provide written testimony, you are more than welcome to do so.
I've got this in written testimony, and I also have here 73 signatures, 42% of non-corporate landowners of the ditch district that believe that the county commissioners are overstepping their bounds in trying to subvert state law, and we don't believe that it is in the public interest for you to suspend the operation of the district. You don't have the right to
Sir,
dissolve the
your
district.
time is up.
but
Thank you.
You have the right to suspend.
Next,
I believe it's in your public interest.
next is Jim Odiorn. And I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your last name.
Not an issue. Honorable Chair and Commissioners, I'm Jim Odian. My wife Sally and I own a home at 9079 Astor in the Preserve subdivision, which is wholly within the city of Tumwater, and we pay Tumwater a monthly fee for stormwater management. It is outside the boundaries of the ditch district, and that has been acknowledged by the district. You've heard today, and I'm sure in comments that have been filed with you, that after consulting both the city and the Thurston County, the ditch district offered to let the owners in the reserve contribute $300,000 to their need for additional ditch work. We provided written objections to the district that identified a number of statutory issues that we felt were impairing the district's ability to proceed with its proposed assessment. Other objections that were filed provided public record evidence that the properties proposed to be assessed lie within the Deschutes watershed and not the Salmon Creek watershed. And also evidence that the district did not object when the city of Tumwater adopted the stormwater management program for the preserve. The district denied all objections that were filed with it and provided no substantive evidence of the basis for the assessment or how the proposed assessment was determined to be of $300,000. We also filed comments with this body and included 4 state auditor reports of their reviews of the ditch district. Those reports contain notice of failure to file information and failure to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. The proposal to assess properties outside the boundaries is effectively taxation without representation. And in summary, the actions of the ditch district have been arbitrary and capricious, a willful violation of the law, collateral attack on the city and county. And we feel that this is a public issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carolyn Thielen.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Carolyn Thielen, and I live at the Preserve 9003 in Tumwater. I am requesting your assistance in helping the homeowners in the Preserve to not be taxed by the Hopkins Drainage District number 2. They say they have annexed us into their district because the flooding this past January has caused problems, and they are blaming the preserved wetlands. I have attended most of their meetings and found that they could not produce any records for the past several years of any maintenance to their wetlands. Now they are having a problem, and they want money from city homes and businesses to pay and fix and maintain their problems. I am requesting your assistance to please intervene and approve the removal of our properties from the Hopkins Drainage District Number 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Matt Parnell.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Parnell. I live with my wife at 9320 Hart Road Southeast. We've lived there for 15 years as residents within the existing Hopkins Ditch District Number 2. I'm here today to voice my opposition to the county suspending the operations of this district. Our home is within the upper reaches of the district, a little more than 1,500 feet from the culvert at 93rd Avenue Southeast. We have recently experienced unprecedented high water levels on our property. In January of 2022, the water reached a level 2 feet higher than any previous mark on my property, flooding an area almost 300 feet by 300 feet, filling with an estimated 1 million gallons of water on my property alone, and getting very uncomfortably close to our own home. I've spoken with neighbors, one of which who has lived 2 doors from my home for 45 years and has never seen anything like it. He lives closer to the culvert than I. This ditch bisects our property, and in the past, honestly, we hadn't given it much thought. It filled with some water in the winter, and it dried up in the summer. In January of 2022, it overflowed, and I decided I needed to learn more about the ditch in my backyard. I learned why it was established, how it works, and the laws that govern it. I've also learned some very detailed information regarding how and why the ditch was overwhelmed last January. Over the past 10 months, I've seen the ditch district take action to identify the needs within the district to manage the additional water that being contributed. Solutions are going to take a lot more money than the $2,500 annual budget the district has operated with for the past 40 years. The district has attempted to work with multiple municipalities for additional funding, only to be railroaded and blocked at every turn. Meanwhile, through hard work and generous support of district parcel owners, improvements to the ditch have been made to alleviate many problems and help prepare for another wet winter, predicted to be another La Nina year like we've had last year. Residents within the existing district are going to be taxed on the same scale as the residents in the newly annexed area. And I believe the commission is working on behalf of the property owners within the district to solve the problems of flooding that we're facing. I do not see any evidence that misrepresentation, misappropriation, or neglect has occurred. I want to see the district continue with planning through this winter and spring season to identify additional needs for the 2023 in-ditch working season. January 2022 did not see an unprecedented amount of rain, not an unusual amount of rain, and certainly not an act of God. We do not know when the next similar or greater event may occur, but I want the district to be as prepared as possible. Thanks.
Next, Clark Wilcox.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Clark Wilcox. I live 8901 Viola Street, Southeast, Tumwater, Inner Preserve. I sent you a copy of information a couple weeks ago. I am not going to read that today. I got more stuff. I'm already taxed by the Thurston County Commissioners and the City of Tumwater for storm drainage. My storm water flows to the Deschutes, not towards the Hopkins. I have a dry well in my backyard. All my rain, all the water goes in that well. The only thing that goes in the storm drain is on the road, and that goes to the chutes. Hopkins came up with an idea to tax us $360 a year. And they want to add maybe another 10% every year. I don't pay 10% on anything, nothing. My mortgage is 3.2. Why in the heck would I pay something that I'm not even part of 10% more money a year? They charge $5 an acre for their people. I don't live in 5 acres. I live on a 120 by 100, so they can have $1.10 from me. This is a bunch of garbage. They haven't done any maintenance in 15 years. This did not happen overnight. Their 60 by 12 grass plug they found in a ditch, the beaver dam, that didn't happen overnight, folks. It's a maintenance issue. They didn't do it. I'm not paying for it. Annexation vote, they annex us without a vote from us in a preserve. It's our pockets, our money. If they're not stopped from doing this, they're going to keep going on more and more and just keep going because they're ineffective at what they're doing. I served my country in the Marine Corps for a war that nobody wanted, for the freedom to vote and the freedom of speech. I did not get a right to vote for this. I want my right. I want them out of my back pocket. I want my city to take care of my stuff. I want my county to do what they need to do. I am not responsible for their ineffective means or lack of stuff that they do. Take me out of it, which means me is a Tumwater preserve. This is not right. Please look at this. And I don't care about the mumble jumble of RCWs. There's one RCW that we must follow. One that has a shall into it. And that's domestic violence. And that says you shall. That's only one. Murder, there's no shall into it. Domestic violence is the only one you shall follow. Thank you, folks.
Next, I have Mayor Debbie Sullivan.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm Debbie Sullivan, Mayor of the City of Tumwater. My address is 555 Israel Road, Southwest, Tumwater, Washington. Thank you for considering the request of the City of Tumwater on behalf of the city and the residents, businesses within the preserved neighborhood to consider suspension of the operation of the Hopkins Ditch District. On September 13th, I spoke with you in favor of setting a hearing, and today I'm asking to suspend further activities of the district. Since I spoke to you last, several events have confirmed our view that the district has acted recklessly and in an illegal manner and should be suspended. The district approved 597 Tumwater properties into the district despite ample scientific testimony and refute the district's position that these properties contribute to the Hopkins Ditch. Indeed, they do not. The stormwater is routed to storm ponds in the area where groundwater has shown to flow to the north and the east towards the Deschutes. And it's away from the ditch. The district ignored the science and ignored the laws in annexing these properties. The city and neighboring residents and property owners have had to take the district to court because they're willful violations of the law. The commissioners held a secret meeting to adopt their position and had their decision to annex the Tumwater properties written out before even conducting the before conducting the public hearings. The hearings was basically a sham and their decision was already made. Next, the district proposed to pass a $300,000 estimate of its expenses without providing required notice to affected property owners. This amount is based on a guess as to the possible costs needed for their operation over the next year. We know that it is a guess because they said so. It's not a surprise that their latest guess approximates the escalating demands for money that the district has made leading up to their annexation efforts, first direct to the county, Then the county rejected their demands. Then they turned it to the city, demanding that it commit stormwater funds to the district or else. Of course, the or else was a misguided attempt to assess the city and the residents and businesses of the preserve and neighborhood. In response, the district's reckless and unlawful conduct, the city adopted an ordinance as provided by state law, which removes the properties within the city limits of the ditch district. As state law provides, the district now has no authority to access taxes against these properties, which is draining into the ditch district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Doug and Linda Marshall. I know you marked no, but I just wanted to make sure that you do not wish. No? Okay. Next, I have Bill Pritchett. Okay. Next, Matt Marshall.
I don't know if this goes high enough. My name's Matt Marshall. I'm at 517 96th Lane Southeast. This winter was unusually high flooding. We had water inside of our garage for the first time ever. We also had extensive flooding in our yard. And I just want to state that as a property owner who's paying into the ditch district, I know none of us like our taxes to go up, so I appreciate and understand the sentiment we've heard from others. However, maintaining the ditch is essential for the properties there. It's been maintained for, I don't know, 140 years. So I think it's just reckless to suspend the operations of the ditch. It's necessary for the properties there. I think we need to improve collaboration with the county and with others, but it serves an essential purpose. And so I urge the commissioners to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Jeffrey Myers.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I hadn't planned to testify, but I do want to answer a couple of the questions that Commissioner Edwards brought up. First of all, the development of the preserve is in the city of Tumwater. It was approved by the city of Tumwater, I believe, in 2004 and 2005 when preliminary plat applications came through. There were specific appeals that were directed at the stormwater facilities within the preserve neighborhood. And it was designed to meet the standards of the Tumwater Drainage Manual, which are to handle the stormwater on site and not increase the flow off site. And so the city maintains stormwater facilities that are located in an area outside the drainage basin where the Salmon Creek Basin, where the Hopkins Drainage Ditch exists. It's actually located in the Deschutes Drainage Basin. So surface water flows towards the Deschutes. And there are groundwater studies that have been done by licensed hydrogeologists who we had provide testimony to the district that shows that the groundwater underneath these facilities also flows to the north and to the east, absolutely away from the ditch. So there was no scientific basis for them to go after the preserve to begin with. This was all a grab at money. They first of all came to this body and demanded that the county pay them from their stormwater funds, and then the county said no. And so then they came to the city and said, we want you to pay for stormwater maintenance that we haven't been able to pay for the last 30 years. They haven't done anything. And the problem is that when we had a huge snowfall on top of, and rain on top of that, washing it all off of 93rd, we had flooding throughout the entire area. We didn't just have flooding in one spot attributable to the preserve, it was everywhere. And yet they want to blame the city, they want to blame the preserve, and they want to tax them because they have a source of money. That's what this is about. And then they came to the city and they said, give us your stormwater funds that you've collected for other facilities and we'll go away. Well, they didn't go away because the city said, no, it's not right. And we asked you to do the right thing and suspend this district because they haven't demonstrated any ability to carry out their functions and maintain the district and maintain the ditch. Thank you.
Next, I have Vicki Jacks.
I'm Vicki Jex, and I've lived on Tilley Road, and I own a lot of that ditch. And I was there for the 100-year flood, the 1,000-year flood, and last year we had more flood than we've ever had at our house. And I give the ditch people a lot of credit. Yes, they do get the beaver dams out, and yes, I've had them on my property, and they do build them overnight. You go out and you have, and I have to ask the county, Fish and Wildlife gave permission for them to blow the dam up, and the county came in and said, no, you've got to do it by hand. And we removed a good % of our dam that was on our property by hand, and I'll tell you what, it's really painful. The money, the county takes my money for taxes, and then I pay to the ditch too. I'm okay with that if the county would come back and help support the ditch people, because we do a lot of work on our own. Plus, I don't think the county has a clue what you're getting into. This ditch is long, and if you don't keep it clean, which the ditch committee has done quite a good job of, until water started dumping in from every other direction that it shouldn't be coming in at. They've done good. And yes, money is needed to make it happen, but does the county have people that go out and catch beavers? Are they willing to do the work to contact all the people before they go on their property and make sure no animals get loose when they have to take down a fence? Because they've got to get through that area. Because if you don't keep it cleaned out, there's a basin that will all flood. And I don't know if you're seeing that and understanding it. Like I said, I've been watching it, and the ditch people have been doing it. And I've been watching their hands get tied behind their back further and further with more and more permits. And everything costs, everything is but I think that right answer would be just to help the ditch people with keeping it clean, giving the means, because I don't think the county wants this job. It's a long ditch with a 10-foot drop from start to finish. And so one beaver dam clogs it up. And if you don't have somebody walking it regularly, you're going to be in trouble, which we have had people walking it and getting them out when we can get a permit to do it. Thank you.
Next, Tom Thorning. Next, David Rexel. Okay. Yes. Rainey, I'm so sorry.
My name's David Rainey. I own Lot 4 through an LLC in Tumwater Commerce for a commercial building that when it's developed, I'll rent it to a business that my wife and I own and operate. It's a 3-acre, well, shy of a 3-acre parcel. I'm a retired builder developer. I developed the dirt for probably 1,000 lots. And so I'm familiar with stormwater, I'm familiar with infiltration. I've seen hydrologists, scientists, engineers disagree. You can put 3 of them in a room, 3 hydrologists, and they'll come up with different answers. This, I mean, water, the globe's a closed loop, or closed, the water doesn't go anywhere. If it melts over here, something rises over there. It evaporates here, it goes into clouds, it rains over there. There's a drought over here, there's rains over there. My heart breaks for these homes that are being flooded because I do drive down 93rd. I've moved here from Oregon 8 years ago, and something I don't doubt needs to be done. But you have two hydrologists at odds here. The hydrologist that worked for Kaufman to put in Tumwater Commerce, and Joseph Brasher, who works for Hopkins, and they're at odds. They disagree. I can give you countless examples of where water goes uphill because of hydrology, hydraulic pressure, where you dig something over here and water comes out and it's at it's at a higher elevation. From the USGS website, says, and I'm going to talk about water infiltration here because that's my property in Tumwater Commerce. We won't be going into stormwater ponds for detention. It's designed, we're designing to go for infiltration. Some water that infiltrates will remain in shallow soil layer where it will gradually move vertically and horizontally through the soil and subsurface material. Some of the water may infiltrate deeper, recharging groundwater aquifers. If the aquifers are porous enough to allow water to move freely through it, people can drill wells into the aquifer and use the water for their purposes. Water may travel long distances or remain in groundwater storage for long periods of time, returning to the surface or seeping into other water bodies, such as streams and oceans. I'm spending $50,000 just to design an infiltration system that they say unequivocally, Hopkins will end up in this drainage ditch. They can't say that. And in their report, they make a lot of assumptions and available data, et cetera.
Thank you. And if you have any written comments, you can provide them to County Manager. We'll make copies of it. Okay, that's it for the sign-up list. Is there anyone else? Okay, I have two. I'll get her and then I'll get you, sir.
My name is Annalisa Shorn. I live in the Preserve at 9067 Buttercup Street. And I'm also the HOA president for the Preserve. So I've been kind of busy with this from the beginning. We got our letters annexing us, telling us that they wanted to tax us for the Hopkins Drainage Ditch. And right there, I knew that we had a problem. So we followed City of Tumwater guidelines. We bought our houses in good faith. We were given options to send objections to the Hopkins Drainage Ditch, which many of us wrote them down in our objections, and they denied every one of the objections of every neighbor. I was sitting in those meetings listening to them. They had preset explanations for every one of them. I was there at the final meeting when they decided to vote us in, and I asked Mr. Jackman, he at that time at that meeting said, oh, now they wanted 250,000, and they were estimating from his gut that maybe they would need 80 to 100,000 to hire a full-time person to help them manage this district. And I was thinking, gee, Thurston County probably has that. And then they were like, well, we don't trust them because they wouldn't give us money. So we don't trust them to take care of it. And I thought, gee, Thurston County's Public Works building is 1,500 feet from the place we're meeting at today. My point with that is, one, all the specialists can say that we're not contributing, but when I asked him, well, how much is this going to cost to do it right? I mean, how much is it going to cost to fix your thing? Have you got any bids? And he said, well, no, we've been far too busy to get any bids of what this is going to work. So I said, so you want my money for something you don't even know what it's going to cost, and we're just supposed to blindly give you money and you'll figure it out. And this is a ditch district that's been getting volunteers with shovels on weekends to help do stuff. I mean, I feel for the people that live in this water-soaked area. It is historically a marshy area, and I get that. And there are some really good fixes that can be done for that. I don't think I should have to pay for it. And I think this is something that needs a far bigger entity to make sure that their homes aren't flooded, which is Thurston County with its engineers and its workers and its heavy equipment. I think you are well versed to handle this issue so their homes won't flood anymore. Thank you.
Sir.
Hey, my name is Eric Seeley. I live at 9147 Astor Street Southeast.
Can you move it? Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that. I live in the preserve. I went to the meetings as well. I have filed public disclosure requests of the drainage ditch, and the responses will get back to you in 3 to 6 months on one of them, and another one, their response was, no, the information you want is confidential and we will not send it. So they're not even complying with the Public Records Act. And I believe the county would be much better equipped to handle their drainage ditch problems. I don't believe that they've proven that the preserve is responsible for the flooding of their ditch. I would recommend the county take them over and manage it properly. We all can then pay into the county and have the county do it. I think their annual budget was $2,500 a year, and they want to get $300,000 out of the preserve for just 1 year. So they want 100 times more money in 1 year than they've ever gotten before to manage a problem. I think that speaks for itself that they don't know what they're doing, they're not equipped. Please take them over.
Anyone else in the boardroom? Oh, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Doan. I'm the City Administrator for the City of Tumwater. My address is 555 Israel Road. I want to just finish up the mayor's comments, and then we will submit her comments to you in writing. The district has continued to make arbitrary and illegal decisions, including proceeding with attempts to use explosives to remove blockages in their facilities in areas known to be habitat for endangered species. Their years of neglect of their maintenance responsibilities caused these blockages in the first place. The law provides the county the ability to suspend the district and to provide for a rational approach to carrying out the maintenance responsibilities that the district has ignored for decades. The district has proven incapable of carrying out the fundamental responsibilities of a governmental body, maintaining the district's facilities or complying with the open government laws. The time has come to remove these responsibilities from the current district commissioners by suspending the district. Thank you.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice?
Can you hear me?
I will be calling the Zoom screen in a minute, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Yes, we are finishing up with the members who have showed up in person. Looks like there's not anyone else, so we will move on to Zoom now. County Manager, will you assist me with calling?
Yes, and I will call you based on the order of my Zoom screen. So first I have Ms. Tara Kimbrough. Please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Tara Kimbrough, and I'm here on behalf of Tumwater Commerce and Tilly Corporate Center Law Owners Associations, as well as the Kaufman entities. The Tilly Corporate and Tumwater Commerce developments are valuable to the community, providing local jobs in both development and construction of new property and function of the businesses that are housed there. These developments comply with all stormwater regulations, including the requirement that stormwater infiltrate exclusively on site and therefore do not contribute to stormwater runoff that runs through the Hopkins ditch. The precipitation in winter of 2021 to 2022 resulted in flooding throughout the region and was not isolated to the Hopkins Drainage Ditch. The ditch is now using that flooding to justify expanding its territory, but has not shown how the Tumwater Commerce and Tilly Corporate Center developments benefit from the Hopkins ditch. Moreover, the ditch district is using the expansion to fund a backlog of maintenance on the ditch, forcing those costs onto Tilley Corporate and Tumwater Commerce property owners. For the reasons I've summarized, continued operation of the ditch district is not in the public interest and would be better served by Thurston County assuming authority for the maintenance and operations of the Hopkins ditch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. David Britton. Go ahead, sir, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is David Britton. I represent the Hopkins Drainage District, and I will try to make the comments brief. You've heard some of this before, but the first thing I really need to address is we just heard the attorney, or maybe it was a representative of the city of Tumwater, referring to years of neglect of maintenance responsibilities. We've had other representatives from the preserve and from the city of Tumwater saying that my commissioners are not maintaining the ditch. Nothing could be further from the truth. Just because they're not making a ton of expenditures and bringing in contractors doesn't mean that the work is not getting done. As I think you've heard from some of the other commenters, they do the work themselves. The commissioners themselves and other members of the community go out and perform the work themselves. It's a very small district, obviously. I kind of look at that as government at its best. I know maybe it doesn't meet Tumwater's high standards for governance, but they get the job done. There was some reference to the drainage district having gone to the city of Tumwater and said, you know, you've got these properties over here in the preserve, they're in the city of Tumwater boundaries. Why don't you share some of your stormwater drainage fund with us so that we can get this work done that'll benefit the properties? Tumwater refused. I believe the county has made a similar refusal. Nobody seems to want this district, although I would point out, and I think some other people have pointed out, that the last sentence of RCW 8538-220 does say that if the board takes this action and suspends the operation of the district, the Board of County Commissioners, if they do decide to suspend the operation of the district, it must be prepared to take on the responsibility and of maintaining and improving that Hopkins ditch. So the other thing I would say is that we have submitted, and I will also say I submitted today in a written form via email some public comments of this nature, and I attached and incorporated by reference Mr. Brasher's opinion and his attached CV. Mr. Brasher's opinion was that the 400 plus homes in the preserve development did contribute to increased flooding, and that a rerouting of the ditch was going to be necessary.
30
so
seconds.
This is not routine maintenance.
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So basically, we do have expert opinion that does back up the planned expansion. And I think that we have enough evidence that we've submitted to justify the continued operation of the district. All they need is to include all the properties that the district benefits, so that they can make the required improvements. That's all they're asking for.
Thank you, sir.
So we would ask that the board not take the proposed action. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Bob Long.
No further comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Vince Cartone.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah. The lady from Tilley Road who testified earlier.
Sir, can you outline where you live?
Oh, I'm 9529 Brooks Lane Southeast.
Thank you, sir.
The lady on Tilley Road who spoke about the flooding in her area and raised the issue of is the county really prepared to take this over and maintain it? I think that hits at the heart of whether or not it's in the public interest to suspend it. If you suspend it, it seems to me as though you're doing the city of Tumwater's bidding at the expense of the 140 some property owners in the county, your own citizens and taxpayers who have the ditch on their property and benefit from it. The solution is to get the district some money so they can do what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have either Mr. or Mrs. Takahide Aso.
No comment.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Derek Trubia.
Hello. Currently live at 8945 Viola Street within the preserve. And as expected, I stand with the majority of the comments made from other residents, as well as the mayor of Tumwater and Charlie. And as one of the other gentlemen said, is you could get 2 or 3 hydrologists into a room and they're all going to disagree on things. I also live a few doors down from Mr. Wilcox, and we also have a cistern in our backyard where all of our rainwater flows to. And then anything that we do have that runs off the front of our property goes towards the Deschutes. So being able to attribute that everyone within the preserve flows into the ditch district is kind of just maybe a good hypothesis at best. And so obviously I object to this. We already pay into the county, we pay into the city, and now we're trying to get, triple dipped and pay into this ditch district. And yeah, I do feel for some of these people that have water on their property, but it would also be interesting to look at what their wetland delineations are and maybe recognize that those might be more true and more wet some years than others. And I have no further comment on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Mr. Patrick Nodden. Next, I have Ms. Pearl Gibson. Go ahead,
Thank you,
ma'am.
commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't repeat the comments from the other preserve. My address is 1322 89th Avenue Southeast, and I'm a resident in the preserve. But I will just say that I support the resolution you have before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Rex Yabut.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Commissioners. My name is Rex, and I, along with my family, have been resident in the preserve at Tumwater since 2017. And this whole experience is interesting to say the least, as I'm new to homeownership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I appreciate objective data to make an analysis of what the needs are for the community in which I reside, which my family and I can support. The specific example, as we're talking here today, is stormwater drainage. Since becoming aware of this issue in August of this year, upon receiving a letter from Hopkins Drainage Ditch, number 2 commissioners, I have attempted to research additional information from the city of Tumwater, Thurston County, and Hopkins Drainage Ditch meeting minutes, ordinances, and et cetera, that are publicly provided that I can access. And from what I could gather, since 2006, Matt Jackman has been appointed as commissioner to the Hopkins Drainage Ditch. For the last 16 years, I could not locate any data or information at this current time, being a full-time employee, also a father of 2 little ones, in which could support that nothing has been done to maintain the ditch. I was able to review the recent audit report completed on the Hopkins Drainage Ditch, and I do find it a little off to me that since the appointment of the commissioners, especially Matt Jackman in 2006, that it's only recently, 16 years later after his appointment, that allegations have been surfacing. So as we all have heard this meeting, it is very apparent that there are 2 sides and 2 opposing perspectives. And as I've mentioned, from what I could gather, this sums it up. The drainage ditch was established in 1901. Residents within the districts have experienced flooding. Residents in the preserve, Tumwater, have not experienced flooding prior to this event, as we are going off the good faith studies of hydrologists before our homes were built. So within the last 121 years, it does stand to reason in some respect that we need to figure out what new factors have been added within this 121 years that have contributed to this flooding. So therefore, I have to express that I'm neither in favor or opposed to the suspension of the district and strongly encourage the county commissioners to find a resolution. Regardless of the outcome of a suspension, a dissolution, or annexation of any land now, weeks, or months, or years down the road, the reality is that it will eventually come down to me or all of us as residents and citizens who will support the maintenance of the stormwater drainage. And I just would like to find something that is fair and that is supported by objective data and multiple research that I can also find as a resident. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you. Next, I have Ms. Karen Buchanan.
Hi, I do not, this is Karen Buchanan. I am at 9185 Astor Street in the Preserve. I don't have any comments to add in addition to the others from my neighborhood. I just want to also add my voice in support of the dissolution of this ditch district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a dissolution.
Next, I have Mr. Danny Smith. Doesn't want to testify, I assume. Next, I have Ms. Bonnie Blessing.
I'm present. Can I speak here?
Oh, please go ahead. Yeah.
Hi.
Please go to the microphone, ma'am. Yeah.
The Hopkins Drainage District, their hydrologist Joe Brasher asserts that flooding was worse this year. Oh, my name's Bonnie Blessing.
Could you bring the microphone down? There we go.
Hi. My name's Bonnie Blessing, 6123 North Hill Drive Southwest, Olympia, Washington, 98512. The Hopkins Ditch Board and their hydrologist Joe Brasher asserts flooding was worse this year. Joe Brasher asserted the flooding stemmed from inappropriate stormwater design. The ditch board tried to get aid from upstream residents, county, or city to manage water levels and dig the ditch out. Flooding did seem to top the height of the actual ditch. But another thing occurs in the ditch ponds and flooded fields that include waterfowl bats, Olympic mud minnow, and Oregon spotted frogs. Pocket gophers occur in the fields above these wetlands next to the ditch. Many of these are sensitive to fluctuations from any cause, be it impervious surface or beaver dam manipulations. Naturally, the water levels can just differ every year. The ditch board initially wanted to open up the ditch, then did decide to work with the HPA issued by the state and is considering comments of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. In my experience, I found spotted frogs downstream in the drainage off of Little Rock Road. I watched and recorded surface water levels and fluctuations at this location. Frogs live in flooded fields next to unimproved ditches and water about 40 centimeters deep. They also spawn in real shallow areas, and they need some stable water levels during specific times of the year. It is very difficult to manage vegetation and water levels to benefit the frogs and waterfowl and meet human needs under any circumstances. Whoever manages the ditch in the future needs to consider needs of both humans and wildlife. During high water, people apparently have limited access to their driveways and roads. People believe that the use of their fields is impaired and trees are killed due to extremely high water. Invasive grasses are spreading. Some research suggests that invasive grasses spread and clog ditches because of high fluctuations. These property owners who allow their fields to flood offer refuge to special status wildlife such as waterfowl, mud minnow, spotted frogs, and other. Thurston County should offer these people lower property taxes because allowing flooding of adjoining fields benefits wildlife that this society values. Staff from agencies should be available to assist with beaver dam management and monitoring of frogs to water levels. I suggest setting up an oversight board that guides and seeks funding for ditch management, sort of like a lake management district. This board would actively seek funding to determine how to manage the ditch to benefit human uses as well as habitat for frogs, mud minnow, and waterfowl and salmon. To prevent future problems from impervious surface management, county commissioners should take the advice offered by Washington Department of Ecology and Deep Ecology's own manual. These recommendations from ecology and for any county or jurisdiction include modifying local precipitation parameters and using local precipitation data. Consider incorporating rain on snow. We experienced massive snow event before this January 2022 event that could have created antecedent conditions. Washington Department of Ecology does not include wetland fluctuations. That should be included. Assist ditch district with appropriate notching and funding.
Please wrap it up. Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Sean Milton. Next, I have Ms. Deborah Perdue. I believe that concludes public testimony, Madam Chair.
I will ask if anyone else would like to provide public testimony at this time. Change your mind. Go ahead.
This is not my best forum here. I'm Tom Thorning. I live at 10301 Case Road Southwest. I am one of the ditch commissioners. I have lived on my property for the last 23 years. The work that is done on the ditch is and has been done by the commissioners for the most part. The mechanical side of it, we've hired local contractor to do the work. So we get a very good deal from him. He's one of our neighbors. That's the way this system has been working for years. We're a neighborhood. We work together to get things done. Now, as we have to start acting as real commissioners, the cost does go up. We now, when we hire a excavator to come through, it is now prevailing wage. We will now not be able to do the work ourselves, so we have to have a facilitator. So a facilitator is not going to work for free. There's a lot of additional expenses that we've never dealt with before. One of the things that has come up with the conversation with the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, standing on the side of the road, looking at the work that we've already completed, one of the gentlemen there had stated that as this area grows around us, they're looking at our properties to be the offset for the pocket gophers. The spotted frog issue came up just recently. I've never heard of them in this area. Well, I know they're in the area, but all of a sudden to become an issue on our ditch to stop us from doing our work has not been brought up before. So it was a bonus round. In the ditch area that we were talking about blowing, that is a part of the preserve property purchase to offset mitigation, was found pallets within the ditch. The grass had grown up in through the pallets, creating a blockage. That was part of why we needed to blow this out. We cannot get equipment in there because the water table is so high, an excavator will sink. So now we're up to going out there with a canoe, a chainsaw and a weed eater, cutting and pulling and throwing the grass aside so that we can get this water to flow through this area. So we're a good old boy system out there being encroached by the city. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. That will conclude our public testimony. Next is discussion. Commissioner Edwards.
Well, I don't know if I've got the right audience here to ask, but I'm curious. Our ditch district, are they required to meet all the open public meetings?
Sorry, I believe so, sir.
Both get
Yeah, yeah. My microphone was
I'll
on.
re-ask that question.
Yeah, I think I can answer.
Commissioners, where there's 3 commissioners
Yeah.
required to meet all of the Public Meetings Act and records?
I believe so, sir.
That's the only question I have for you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
Got a whole pages, couple of pages of questions for our follow-up session, mainly for legal counsel and what the options are. So nothing that needs to be addressed today. Thanks to everybody for being here.
Yes, I also have a couple of questions for legal counsel as well. Okay, when is our follow-up briefing? Do we have?
Yeah, I'm planning to have a conversation hopefully this Friday with our legal counsel for sure she's out of the office for this week. And based on all the public testimony, my hope is that I can bring this matter before you on Tuesday morning if she's ready to provide the legal perspective. If not, soon after that, during that week, next week. That is my goal at this point, as soon as feasible.
Thank you.
One more.
Go ahead.
Do we have an indication from the county treasurer as to a timeline for the tax collection and when the commissioners, if they were going to take some action, would have to take that action?
Under normal circumstances is November, but he has expressed to me that the latest that he can wait is until December 10th.
Thank you.
The latest the county treasurer can wait before they can impose the assessment on your properties is December 10th.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Not at this time.
Madam Chair, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This public hearing is now closed. Thank you all who attended today and provided public testimony.